Could I please ask the councillors and themselves to elect a chair for this meeting?
I nominate Councillor Sheard.
And I second that.
Perfect. Councillor Sheard, you're the chair for this meeting. I'll leave it to you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Before we get to business, I've got to do a couple of procedural items. So if you bear with me, we'll get the show on the road very quickly. So before I continue, can I ask the councillors, are either of the other councillors in this meeting substitutes?
No.
No.
Brilliant. On behalf of the councillors, do any of you have any declarations of interest in items relating to the agenda today?
No.
Nothing to declare. No.
Cool. Amazing. There is also no non-public items today on the agenda, and therefore we will not be excluding the press and public from items today. I'd also like to remind everyone that this is being webcast live and is available for repeat viewings, and as this is an open meeting. With that, let's get on to it. Let's get to the business of today's meeting. This is an application for the new premises licence at Five Restaurants on Western Road, Hove. Before we begin, I'm going to go around and ask everyone to introduce themselves, starting with the panel. Can I please ask everyone that as this is a virtual meeting, that you will need your camera on and your microphone on when speaking, and can you please be muted when you are not speaking? If you wish to speak, please raise your hand and I will call you to speak. And I'd like to remind everyone that there is a specific order I have to call on people when asking questions of certain people. So please bear with me. Everybody will have a chance to raise points and take part in the discussion as they so choose after every representation. With that, I'm going to start with the panel to introduce themselves. So, Councillor Pickett.
Good morning, I'm Councillor Kerry Pickett for Preston Park Ward.
Thank you. Councillor Helliwell.
Good morning, I am Councillor Lucy Helliwell for North Portslade.
Thank you. I'll just introduce myself. I'm Councillor Tobias Sheard. As we heard earlier, I'll be chairing the meeting today, and I'm the Councillor for Coldine and Stanmer. With that, I'll turn to those assisting the panel today, starting with our clerk. Francis, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Frankie, or Francis Mitchell. I'm with Democratic Services, and as I say, I'll be clerking the meeting today.
Thank you, Frankie. Liz.
Hi, I'm Liz Woodley from Legal Services, here to give the panel advice.
Thank you. All right, with that, I will turn to our statutory Oh no, I've not introduced our licensing officer today, who I believe is Emma, isn't it?
It's me, Emily.
Oh, it's Emily. Sorry,
yeah,
Emily.
Sorry, it's confusing, Emma and Emily.
Yeah, I'm the licensing officer presenting the application, Emily Fountain.
Thank you. Emma.
Yeah, I'm the licensing officer putting the representation forward for the application.
Thank you. Moving over to the police, Claire.
Hello, I'm Claire Abdelkader. I'm police licensing officer here to represent the police today.
Thank you. And I don't have your name. I just have the Faisal. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Ahmed Nasiri, the director of Faisal Restaurant.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, Frank.
Good morning, I'm Frank Leduc from Brighton and Hove News.
All right, brilliant. Thank you very much, everybody. With that all done, I shall hand over to the licensing officer to introduce this hearing.
Thank you, Chair. This is a hearing for an application for a new premises licence for Faisal's Restaurant, 5 to 6 Western Road, Hove. The hours applied for are Sunday to Thursday, 2300 to 0300, and Friday to Saturday, 2300 to 0400, for late night refreshment only. I will leave it to the applicant to explain the proposed application in more detail, but in brief it states that we are an Afghan Kurdish restaurant in the Hove area. We are the only restaurant that serves the mentioned cultural cuisines from the said traditions. Section 18, the operating schedule of the application, is detailed at Appendix A on page 23, and the proposed plan of the premises is attached at Appendix B on page 25. 2 representations were received. They were received from Sussex Police and the Licensing Authority. These representations had concerns relating to the prevention of crime and disorder, the prevention of public nuisance, and cumulative impact. Full details of the representations can be found in Appendix C. Sussex Police also included proposed conditions they would want added to the operating schedule if the panel are minded to grant the licence. These conditions are also in Appendix C on pages 31 to 33. A map detailing the location of the premises is attached at Appendix D. As mentioned, this premises is situated in the city's cumulative impact area. The special policy for cumulative impact states that applications for new licences will be refused following relevant representations. The applicant can rebut this presumption of refusal if they can show that their application will have no negative cumulative impact on the licensing objectives. The Council's statement of licensing policy goes on to say that this special policy is not absolute. Upon receipt of a relevant representation, the licensing authority will always consider the circumstances of each case and whether there are exceptional circumstances to justify departing from its special policy. If an application is unlikely to add to the cumulative impact of the area, it may be granted. The onus is on the applicant to demonstrate exceptional circumstances. The panel will also be aware of the matrix approach to licensing decisions found within the Statement of Licensing Policy on pages 12 and 13 of today's agenda. This includes a table with provisions for a terminal hour for licensed activities for all classes of licensed premises, in a particular area, recognising the diverse operations and different risks presented by those premises. The matrix states that late night refreshment takeaways should not be granted in the cumulative impact area. However, the policy is not absolute and each application must be given individual consideration on its own merits. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillors, any questions for Emily? Okay, thank you. I do have one question for you. I don't know if it's best if you'd like to answer this now, Emily, or if you'd like to circle back to this later on. But it's my understanding that there was a review called into the previous licence at this site back in 2023. I was just wondering if you could share a few more details on the circumstances leading up to that event.
Yes, so there was a review called on the premises that was under a different operator. So that's not this operator. That licence is still in existence. The review was called by Sussex Police, and the review was made on grounds of the prevention of crime and disorder, and that was due to high drug readings in the premises, amongst other issues.
Thank you. So just to be absolutely crystal clear, that is a completely separate operator and nothing to do with the current premises holders.
Yeah, nothing to do with the current premises licence holder or applying licence holder. I do believe that the building itself may be still leased from the licence holder, the previous licence. Sorry, the other licence that's still in existence.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Oh, right.
Can I just get?
Sorry.
Can I just get clarification from Emily? So, the previous license holder, as far as we know, still owns the building, but the applicant is separate to that, as far as we know.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Pickett, do you have any questions after that?
No, not at the moment, thank you.
No worries, thank you very much. Emma, do you have any questions? I'll take silence.
No, thank you.
No worries.
Thank you.
Anything from you, Claire?
No, thank you, Chair.
No worries. And Emma, do you have any questions you'd like to add?
No.
No worries. Brilliant. Thank you very much. In that case, I will turn to the first of our statutory authorities here today to give their representation, from responsible authorities, sorry, to give their representation, and I will start with the police. So Claire, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. As Emily has mentioned, this is an application for a new premises licence within the cumulative impact area as defined by the Brighton and Hove City Council Statement of Licensing Policy. Late night refreshment premises are a no under the decision-making matrix in this area. The application seeks to licence late night refreshment from 2300 until 3 o'clock Sunday to Thursday and 2300 to 4 o'clock Friday and Saturday, with opening hours to match these timings, suggesting that they will not be open during the day. The applicant is a new operator and they did not consult with Sussex Police prior to submission. They don't make any mention of the Brighton and Hove City Council Statement of Licensing Policy within their application, and they do not address any of the local concerns or potential or cumulative impact issues mentioned within the Statement of Licensing Policy document. The Brighton and Hove Special Policy states at paragraph 3.1.6 that it will only be overridden in exceptional circumstances. The applicant did not offer any reasons why their application would be an exception to policy or why the Statement of Licensing Policy matrix should be departed from in their original application paperwork. While Sussex Police acknowledge that the licence application is not asking for sale of alcohol, offering hot food and drink into the early hours encourages persons who may be under the influence of alcohol or drugs to remain in an area which is surrounded by residential flats and properties. This increases the risk of crime and disorder, antisocial behaviour and public nuisance in an area that is already evidenced to be problematic and forms part of the police's Op Marble patrol area. Police licensing use their own recording system for incidents in licensed premises, and I've produced some crime stats using this. So looking at the 12 months between the 15th of April 2024 and the 14th of April 2025, within a 0.5 mile radius, which is about 400 metres, and that stretches roughly from the edge of Palmyra Square to the west to just past Waitrose to the east. There were 1,166 recorded crimes. The top 3 crime groups throughout the week were theft, with 378, which is 32% of the crimes, violence against the person, 310 crimes, which is about 27%, and public order with 140 crimes, which was 12%. And I think it's worth noting there was a peak in crime between midnight and 1 o'clock throughout the week, with that time on Tuesday and Saturday being the highest for crime. At the weekend, including Friday night up until the early hours of Monday, violence against the person replaces theft as the top crime type, and this provides evidence of the real risk of potential crime and disorder, particularly against persons in this area. Again, we see a peak between midnight and 1 o'clock at the weekends too. Western Road is one of the main arterial routes for bus and foot travel to the west from the centre of town. There's high foot traffic and road traffic throughout the year, so potential issues do remain in this area of the city. Police therefore have concerns about another venue with later hours, particularly until 4 AM at the weekends, in an area already saturated with licensed premises, adding to the issues that Western Road and the surrounding streets already face. This application therefore has the potential risk of undermining the prevention of crime and disorder and public nuisance licensing objectives. Furthermore, Sussex Police contend that any new licensed premises and the carrying on of additional licensable activity, with hours until 3 during the week and 4 at the weekend, has the potential to add to the existing negative cumulative impact in this area. Under the Brighton Hove City Policy, the expectation is that operators will pay special attention when drawing up their operating schedules, and that the applicant should show that they will not add to any cumulative impact in an already problematic area. If this is not the case, then the application should be refused following relevant representations. The applicant did offer some conditions under Section 18, but these were viewed as minimal working conditions, and as mentioned, they do not address cumulative impact or offer anything exceptional. It was not clear whether they were offering SIA coverage as a condition and what the times or extent of this will look like within that original paperwork. Since receiving the police and local authority representations, the applicant has provided a more detailed document, giving some of the reasons around why they believe they're an exceptional circumstance. They have also agreed to the potential conditions written by Sussex Police that were circulated under Appendix 1 of our representation letter. While it is positive that the applicant has stated they will agree to the police proposed wording, it's important to remember that conditions can never fully mitigate the risks associated with opening into the early hours of the morning. They can go some way to reduce incidents occurring within the premises itself, but there are no conditions that can address the risks around takeaway. Customers are away from the control of the premises, with the risk of them becoming a victim of a crime or partaking in criminal activity. All this risk, in turn, then falls to the emergency services to deal with, or in relation to public nuisance, the local authority environmental officers to deal with. If the committee are minded to ground a licence until 3 or 4, then Sussex Police believe consideration must be given to the risk that another late night premises brings. In their later correspondence, the applicant has confirmed that the premises has seating for 20 persons to dine in, as well as the potential for walk-ins, takeaways and deliveries. They have stated that they wish to offer dine-in and walk-in at least 1 o'clock, but are open to closing to dine-ins after 1 o'clock, but will remain open for takeaways and delivery. Sussex Police continue to have concerns around the late night hours being applied for and how this will work in practice. We would therefore strongly suggest that SAO door staff would be needed from 2300 if the premises remains open to the public from this time, to ensure optimum customer and staff safety. Ideally, as we are seeing a peak in crime between midnight and 1 all week long, then the premises would close to dine-in walk-ins from midnight, in line with suggested restaurant hours in the CIZ. And should the panel be minded to grant the later hours, switch to delivery only from this time. Although how this will be managed on Western Road, with it becoming a red route, will need to be explored as well by the panel. Additionally, conditions may need to be looked at which ensure food is only ordered to a residential or business address to stop people walking just down the road and having it delivered there. We welcome proposals from the applicant as to how they will manage and mitigate this risk to prevent the undermining of the prevention of crime and disorder and public nuisance licensing objectives. This may include further amendments to timings, licensable activity, additional conditions, or evidencing of exceptional circumstances. It could be, however, that the committee feel this risk cannot be lessened upon hearing the applicant's submissions and that there are no exceptional circumstances to justify departing from the special policy. It's for these reasons that Sussex Police would ask you, the committee, to seriously consider refusing this application in light of the local issues, crime disorder statistics and police concerns. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillors, do either of you have any questions for the police? Go ahead, Kerry.
Thank you. Sorry, could you just confirm something that you just said? Did you agree that one of your conditions would be that after 1 o'clock you would only want deliveries? Is that what you said? Sorry.
So we haven't put that as a condition to the applicant. I'm saying if that was, if you were minded to grow it as a panel, then one of the things you could consider, they have offered to close to dine-ins from 1 o'clock. We would, as the police would suggest, based on our crime data, that they close to walk-ins at midnight.
Midnight, thank you. And another question I have, I am aware of the other conditions that you've made, but could I ask, sorry, my question is here, how would you feel if the applicant were to surrender their previous alcohol licence? Would that make any difference?
So I don't believe that the applicant would be able to surrender the previous alcohol licence. From what I understand, the owner of the building, who will be leasing it to the applicant, owns that premises licence, and I imagine is keeping it on the building, as obviously the building's probably worth more with an alcohol licence. So I can't imagine they will want to surrender that. It might be worth asking Emily about that, but I can't imagine that will be something I will want to do.
Okay, thank you for confirming that. And also, would it make any difference if the applicant were to become a member of the BCRP and that they have additional door security other than the manager that, as I understand it, is the current proposal?
So one of the conditions we've offered to them and that they have said that they agree to would be being a member of the BCRP. And obviously we have recommended that they have a minimum of 1 door staff from 2300, which I believe they've agreed to as well. But that would be really for them to manage. These would just be like our gold standard suggestions, but unfortunately, due to where they are, we can't really support another late night refreshment premises.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Just before I go over to you, Lucy, can I ask Emily to come in relation to about the surrendering of the old licence?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything to add. The licence is held by somebody completely separate, and so I can't say whether or not they would surrender that licence. It's a separate licence, so it's not really in relation to this application. It is a separate. It's a new applicant. So the existing licence is is with the existing license holder, which is a separate license.
Okay, thank you. Lucy, over to you. Are you struggling to unmute? All right. I'm going to ask a few questions then myself, and then we can circle back to you if you can get yourself unmuted. Okay. Just there's a few things I wanted to ask you about around this. For example, going through the proposed conditions that the police proposed over to the panel in the agenda that we've all been provided. Just wondering how much of this is necessity and how much is just this trying to just kind of tidy everything up. For example, the very first condition you ask is around authorising staff from Sussex Police to go in and inspect the licence. Would that not already be covered by granting of the licence under statute law?
No, so that relates to Sussex Police officers in the relation of licensing officer, a civilian officer like myself. We are not provided for under the Licensing Act. Only warranted officers have right of access to a licensed premises under the Licensing Act. So this is a condition to allow civilian officers like myself to be able to access, because on a technicality under the Licensing Act, they could refuse me entry.
Right, thank you. Give me just a sec. There was another question. I'm just trying to find it out of the very disorganised papers I've got surrounding me. I do apologise. I'm trying not to repeat points brought up by Councillor Pickett earlier. I was just wondering if, for example, we brought in a condition that completely cut off what takeaway license from the venue itself, i.e. it was either sitting down in the restaurant itself or delivery, but via private transport such as bikes or motorbikes. Would you still have the same concern about the impact on the CIZ then, or is any food venue in your mind will continue to impact on the CIZ?
I mean, it's a difficult one, really. Any food place is going to have an impact if people are coming and going, even on bikes or mopeds or cars, because there is still that traffic noise. And as I said, it's going to become a red route, so stopping is going to be more difficult. How are they going to manage that? And I think I'm not sure if this is something the applicant has thought through. Obviously, by closing the physical premises, that does move people on, so they won't be coming there to sit in, dine in, and if they come and find it closed, they're just going to carry on and hopefully head for home, which is kind of what we're hoping for. We want to get people, once they've finished their night out, to head for home, so that we're not just keeping people in an area where they can become victims of crime. Obviously, having a condition around that it can only be delivered to a residential business address could help, because it would obviously mean that people can't walk 2 roads down and just say, deliver it to me on the corner because the door's locked. But any new premises will have an impact. It's just managing that impact, and if that can or cannot be managed based on the location of where they are, and being in the CIZ, places do need more scrutiny, really.
Okay, thank you. My last question I'd like to ask, again, coming back to the necessity of some of the conditions proposed. One of the ones which I find a little more worrying and a little more on the extreme end is, and I'll read this out word for word just so you know which one I'm referring to, is the premise will not operate under this licence until all conditions set within it are evidenced to Sussex Police and local authority licensing teams. I'm a bit concerned about that because it reads to me as if there is a presumption to the police that the conditions imposed by this panel are not going to be followed. And I was wondering if you could explain what justification you have for requiring that as a condition.
So unfortunately, we have seen a number of premises where a licence has been granted, whether that's come before a panel or whether we've agreed conditions outside of a panel and it's gone through that way, where premises have not got their house in order before they've opened. We obviously and the local authority try to do a licence check within sort of the first 3 to 6 months of people opening, so that we can just, provide that support. And it is really unfortunate when we turn up and they're not complying to any of their conditions. Obviously that's more worrying when it's been conditions placed on by yourselves, because obviously you've offered them, that chance, and you've given them that higher level of scrutiny. So we want to make sure that people have got all their paperwork in order, have trained all their staff before they even open the doors during those licensable hours, to ensure that they're not going to be breaching that license right from the beginning.
Yes, thank you. I've been aware of a couple of these cases, but the point I'm trying to get to is it feels unfair to put this onus on people who otherwise have no evidence that they are intending to break the licensing conditions because of the act of someone completely different. Similar to, you wouldn't charge someone else for a crime just because someone else who looked like them had also committed said crime. It feels unfair that this panel is putting extra onus and conditions that limit the ability for them to operate their business on because other people have broken their licensing conditions, if you understand where I'm going.
Yes. Can I just double check, what number condition is that?
It's in the letter that was written to. I don't have the unredacted version open, so I can't give you the name, but that is in the letter that was submitted to the panel on behalf of Sussex Police. It's on page 30 of the agenda pack, if you have that open in front of you.
Yes, sorry, I found it now. Yes, so that actually hasn't been a condition that's been put to the applicant yet. That was one of the suggested conditions that we put in, and it might be that after you have spoken to the applicant that you feel confident that they are willing and able to complete that. And yes, I understand what you're saying about how you don't want to obviously give everyone the same. I think it's just that, unfortunately, in our experience, 9 times out of 10 when we go to check premises, they are breaching their conditions, even long-standing operators. So it's just that extra level of protection, really, to ensure that they really do take it seriously, that being granted a license is a privilege, and that they do have responsibility under law to adhere to all their conditions.
Okay, thank you. Lucy, have you managed to get yourself unmuted and working yet?
Yeah, I am. I'm on my phone. I'm currently restarting the laptop, so hopefully that will come back online. Yeah, sorry. Claire, I was just want to say, I mean, I appreciate it's a new license, new operators, but the owner is the same. Is there a history of police involvement in the previous outfits that have operated there? Is there, has there been trouble, violence there over the past? I know we've had that previous history of the license being recalled, but with that, you talked about the theft and the violence and the public disorder in that timescale. Has that been any of that with the restaurant previously?
So with the current operator, it might be worth asking them how long they've been operating there, because I'm not entirely sure, because I think at the moment they open during the day up to 2300, because they don't need a license for that. I can't say that we've had any specific call outs to them as an operator. The previous operator is slightly different in that it was being operated as more of a bar club situation. So when we did take them to review, that was due to high drugs readings and their failure to work with us. So it was a very different style of premises. And while that license sits behind, the license that we're looking at today is obviously a different kind of operation. There is no alcohol. It is just for the late night refreshment. And I think we probably do need to ask the operator a bit more about their operating style, how long they've been there, whether they do plan to open during the day or if it's just that evening. And I think that might be something we need to explore with them today.
Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. Emma, do you have any questions for the police?
No, thank you, Chair.
No worries. Ahmed, over to you. Do you have any questions for the police?
No, I don't. But I'd just like to add that I understand the police's concern as Western Road being the cumulative impact area, but and it's also a challenging area. I understand that, but our business is not to attract people off the streets, but rather to invite people to dine in and experience a different cuisine, which is Afghan Kurdish restaurant. It's a place for people to meet and eat together, enjoy the food without the consumption of alcohol, which is very important. And there are not many places within Brighton and Hove that will offer people hot food without the consumption of alcohol. So we have taken that very seriously. I'm personally from a.
Ahmed, I'm sorry to interrupt you. This sounds really good, but do you want to save this all so you set it out when you'll have a chance to put your case forward in a bit? Do you want to save it in there so you can put it fully within your own context and within your own language, and not just in response to the police?
Yeah, no, that's fine. In that case, I don't have any other questions. Please.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much. In that case, I would like to hand over to Emma on behalf of the Licensing Authority.
Thank you, Chair. As you've already heard, and I apologise because a lot of my speech will be repeating what we've already heard, but obviously it's relevant to my representation. So we've heard the details of the application for Faisal's Restaurant 5 to 6 Western Road, Hove, from the licensing officer. And you will have seen my representation on behalf of the licensing authority in Appendix C. The grounds for the representation are that it is contrary to the council's statement of licensing policy as the premises falls within the cumulative impact area and may undermine the licensing objectives of the prevention of crime and disorder and the prevention of public nuisance. As we've heard, the licensing authority's cumulative impact area was adopted to give greater power to control the number of licensed premises within the city centre. The policy was set up because the licensing authority determined that the concentration of licensed premises and the subsequent number of people drawn into the city centre is causing exceptional problems of crime and disorder and public nuisance. The effect of the policy is that applications which are likely to add to the existing cumulative impact will be refused following relevant representations. This presumption can be rebutted by the applicant if they can show that their application will have no negative cumulative impact. We've also heard that the council has the council statement and licensing policy includes a matrix approach for licensing decisions with provisions for a terminal hour for all classes of licensed premises in a particular area, which give an indication of the likelihood of success or otherwise to investors and local businesses making applications. The matrix model states no to new late night refreshment applications that fall within the CIZ. Guidance issued under Section 182 of the Licensing Act states that in completing an operating schedule, applicants are expected to have regard to the statement of licensing policy for their area. The guidance goes on to say that applicants are expected to include positive proposals in their application on how they will manage any potential risks. Where specific policies apply in the area, for example, the CIZ, applicants are also expected to demonstrate an understanding of how the policy impacts on their applications and any measures they will take to mitigate the impact and why they consider their application should be an exception to the policy. The applicant has not made reference to the Statement of Licensing Policy or the CIZ in their application. The policy does state, however, that each application is still considered on its individual merits and there is discretion to depart from the policy where justified. However, departure from the matrix model is only expected in exceptional circumstances. The licensing team act as guardians of the Council Statement of Licensing Policy, and I make this representation on behalf of the Licensing Authority as I believe the application made is contrary to the policy and therefore invite the panel to refuse the application. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Pickett, do you have any questions?
Thank you. I just have a really quick one. Would a reduction in hours make any difference to the authorities' view on this application?
It would still remain outside of the policy, so the application representation would still stand.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Helliwell, do you have any questions? That case, I do have a couple of questions. So obviously, within the CIZ area, within the matrix approach, we are permitted to extend restaurant opening hours to midnight. Would there be any objection to that if that was what was decided by the panel today?
Yeah, that falls within the policy, so that would be acceptable within the policy, and probably wouldn't have. We wouldn't have made a representation on that basis.
Okay, thank you. And also, it is recognised within the policy that anything that is exceptional within the area and is not elsewhere provided will also be seen as an exceptional circumstance to step outside of the licensing matrix. Yeah. Does the licensing authority believe, that this does not meet that exceptional criteria, even though it is the only restaurant, as they've said, that is offering the cuisine within the city? Or is this a representation put in simply because it goes against the matrix policy and you believe it should just be for the panel to decide whether it meets that exceptional?
The representation is because it's contrary to the policy, and it's the panel's option to consider whether, excuse me, these are exceptional circumstances. The exceptional circumstances aren't defined in the policy, so this is why it's come to the panel for their consideration.
Thank you. I don't think I've got any questions, so I'm going to go out and stab and say that Claire doesn't have any questions.
No, thank you, Chair.
I thought you might not. Ahmed, do you have any questions or anything you'd like to put in here, or?
No, thank you, Chair.
No, in that case, I will hand over for you to put your statement forward.
Right. I would like to confirm that I am happy to take on board the conditions the police and the respectful authorities have recommended. We are exceptional circumstances. As I said, we have agreed to the additional conditions recommended by the police and other responsible authorities. We are serving a diverse community, and we believe, and we are the unique cuisine that cater for a general public. Especially the Afghan and Kurdish community. I understand there are other restaurants around us, next door to us, but they are Lebanese, and they serve burgers and chips, and we are not like that. As I'm a Muslim faith, myself, I have no intention to sell alcohol within my business, and we're here to give experience to general public what the Afghan and the Kurdish food is like without the consumption of alcohol. We are in a very good terms with the landlord, that he understands fully that we do not sell alcohol in here, and he respects that, and he's got no problems in interfering with the current license that it may have. We have also heard that under previous licensing, this place had issues in regards to of drug use and violence and things like that. Obviously, that was under a bar and a club, but we are a restaurant, and we have already in the process of training the staff on how to disperse a crowd if there was any. And we have already spoken to Pagoda Security to train our staff as a door staff to manage the property. Stuart Aldred, I believe, is the Pagoda manager. He has suggested that we have to wait for the panel to decide whether to issue the license, on what conditions they do. Then they will offer us a package moving forward. We have been open since, I believe, 7 months now, and we have had no issues. We have got no records in our incident book to such level that will worry the police, and because it is in the challenging area of Western Road. I've had myself a lot of experience in dealing with situations. I've been a taxi driver, licensed Hackney taxi driver since 2009. So I fully understand and the risks that this area and this business might have. But I am also very confident that I can train my staff to deal with this situation accordingly. And obviously, we do not sell alcohol, so we are very confident that this place will not add to the tension that to this area. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Pickett, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, just a few. Sorry, Ahmed, you said that you're happy to take on the police conditions. In that case, are you happy to have only eat-in from midnight, as that's the first condition that I'm aware of?
Sorry, could you possibly repeat that again? Until midnight or from midnight onwards?
You said at the beginning of your speech that you were happy to take on the police conditions. So I'm just asking, with the first one that I'm aware of, that one of the first police condition is that you will only have eat-in only from midnight. So as of midnight, the condition is that customers will eat inside.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. I've also, Emily, when the police raised the concerns, I've also replied back to Emily saying that I do agree with the conditions that the police set, but we would be happy to talk to them and have our customers to dine in at least until 1 o'clock, if that was a possibility.
Okay. So we'll.
Councillor, sorry to interrupt you. I've just noticed Claire's put her hand up. I just wondered if you wanted to give extra context before you carry on.
Yes, just to clarify that police would suggest it would close to dining in at midnight and then move to just deliveries, no walk-ins, no dine-ins from midnight is what I was proposing, if that helps at all.
So can I ask, therefore, my next question is, do you intend to do deliveries?
Yes. Yes, we would like to remain open for deliveries Friday and Saturday until 4, and then Sunday to Friday until 3 a.m. Which the food will be delivered by our own drivers after 23 hours.
And you're agreeing to the police conditions that they will only be made to a private or workplace address?
Absolutely.
Sorry, excuse me. My questions are all over the place. You are the designated premises supervisor. You're saying you said earlier that you've only been in this business for 7 months. Do you feel that you have the experience as the designated premises supervisor to train your own staff?
Yes, absolutely. I myself, as I said, I have other experiences in terms of leading the Brighton and Hove Afghan community, and also I've got another manager within the premises that he has had maybe about 10 years of experience in managing catering business. So he's also well trained. He will accompany me within this business as well.
So when you're not there, he will take over as the DPS?
Absolutely, yes.
Sorry to interrupt again, but I noticed Emily wanted to add in something there, so.
Yeah, just to say, with a late night refreshment licence, there is no requirement for a designated premises supervisor. Designated premises supervisor is only required under the Licensing Act for an alcohol licence. So Faisal would be the manager, but yeah, there is no requirement for a designated premises supervisor.
Thank you. I apologise for that. Things have slightly changed now that Ahmed has agreed to the police conditions, so I'm not sure I have any further questions at this moment. Thank you.
No worries. Councillor Helliwell.
Thank you, Councillor Sheard. Yes, so sorry, can I just clear up this timings issue? So from what I got written down is that you had agreed to close to dine-ins, walk-ins at 1 o'clock, but the police would like that reduced to midnight. So have you agreed to midnight or 1 o'clock? So I've got both numbers written down.
Well, on the application, we have applied until 4 o'clock. But as I said, it was a big concern to the police that obviously is a challenging area. We're here to work with the police. I mean, if they're not happy for 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock, respectively, then we can work and perhaps reduce the hours of dining.
So sorry, Ahmed. Are you agreeing to 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. You're agreeing to 1 o'clock. Okay. And then that would also be for walk-in takeaways that would stop at 1 o'clock. Yes. But it would be open to sort of Deliveroo, etc., till 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, depending on the day. Okay, correct. Thank you. And also, I note that there is an outside area there. Do you intend on applying for a pavement licence to open up that area as well? I know it's not part of this, but
we have no intention to be using the outside seating area after 23 hours on daily basis.
Right. Okay. Thank you. And yeah, and are you planning on sort of putting in extra security staff if you are going to be open till 1 o'clock? As obviously, you know, there may be people wanting to come in looking for drink and you're not serving drink that may get lively.
100%. As I mentioned earlier, I'm already in conversation with Pagoda Security. They have asked me to wait until the panel has agreed to terms and conditions, then we can offer you a package, whether you would need door staff or CIA radios. So I'm just waiting for this decision to be finalized, and then we can liaise with Pagoda Security to take the matter further.
Okay, so sorry, just to keep going on, but let me just, so you have currently agreed to 1 o'clock. If the panel wanted to reduce that to 12 o'clock, would you be in agreement with that, or not?
As I said, the application does state until 3 o'clock, but 1 o'clock is that we'll be very happy with. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Councillor Pickett.
Sorry, just in relation to what you were saying about security, would you consider becoming part of the business crime reduction partnership with the police?
100%, yes.
And the night safe. I guess you don't have to do that if you're not open. But yeah, okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I just have a couple of questions myself. First of all, I just wanted to talk about delivery work as has been alluded to earlier. It will soon be moving Western Road over to becoming a red route, which means there'll be no ability to stop directly out the restaurant. So I was just wondering, how are you planning to cut, as I imagine a lot of these drivers will be on motor vehicles and won't have the ability to either come into the restaurant or stop out just outside it. So I was wondering how you were planning to handle deliveries with that in mind.
There are plenty of side roads right opposite us, where, for example, Co-op is right next door to us, Piccolo's on Little Western Street, which is probably about two minutes or a minute of walking distance from our premises.
Okay, thank you. And I'm going to ask you this, and I apologise if I sound patronising. I don't want to be. It's just that one of the conditions for us stepping outside of the CIZ is an expressed understanding of what the CIZ is there to achieve. And as that's not within the submitted pack that you gave, I just wondered if you could quickly summarise in your own words about the CIZ.
The CIZ, I understand that the CIZ area is when there is negative impact within the area, and the negative cumulative effect of a concentration of licensed premises in an area, which leads to problems of crime and disorder and public nuisance. I understand Western Road is within that area, but our business is not. So I don't think we'll be adding anything for the CIZ impact.
Thank you. And you said yourself that you don't think you'll be having any impact. And as you said, you'll be shutting down at 1 o'clock. So I was just wondering, so you're happy with that, with the conditions that the police have offered and your own kind of substance that you've provided us today, that you would meet the criteria? Obviously, you have said yourself you meet exceptional circumstance based on the cuisine you're offering, but I was just wondering if you felt that with what you've said and what's been said today, that you're happy to, that beyond reasonable doubt you would not be contributing to that impact zone.
Yes, 100%. I think, as I said, we'll have to wait for your decision, and then we'll work with the Pagoda Security for a package that suits us. We have already trained the staff on how to manage and disperse crowd if there are any, and we have already had a couple of occasions where people have walked in and asked if they can bring their own alcohol and enjoy the food within the restaurant, and the staff have perfectly managed to refuse them. So yes, I think our staff is well equipped. We have got a team that are well trained, On top of that, we'll have securities and SIAs if it has to be. I think we'll be okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Pickett.
Thank you. Can I ask, you've been operating for 7 months. Can you tell me approximately how many people you currently have in a day, sort of in the evening?
Because we're open until 23 hours, on a Friday and Saturday, which are our busiest time, we have at least 6 people working within the premises.
Sorry, I meant in terms of customers. How many people do you have?
At one time,
sorry.
In one seating?
Yes.
Around about 20 people at one seating.
That's in the evening?
That's in the evening, yes.
Yeah, thank you. And can I also ask, in relation to smoking, obviously people will leave the restaurant to smoke. Do you have a management plan for smoking, and how is this managed? Where do people go? I'm slightly worried about the noise that people make when they leave your restaurant.
Yes, as I said, the staff, we have already told the staff, and also our cuisine is not as such that people will take ages to finish their food. It will be maximum of half an hour for them to sit in and enjoy their food, and then they disperse. We have so far within the 7 months we have had nobody leaving their tables halfway through their food or in the beginning to go and smoke outside. But this has crossed our mind. We have got signs already printed and placed within the premises and on the outside to be considerate of the neighbors and leave quietly, and do not congregate outside the premises to smoke. So we have dealt with situations like that already, and we have got plans in place.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Claire, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do have a couple. So we've chatted a bit about security. So is the idea that you will just hire an external company rather than having your own staff with an SIA license? Is that the plan?
That is not the exact plan. We, as I said, we have spoken to Pagoda Security. They have advised us that we need to wait until the panel hearing is finished, and then they will offer us a package, whether we need an external security or we need an SIA radio. So we'll just have to wait for that, I guess. And we have 3 members that we would like to register for the supervision of the door staff.
Okay, I just want to double check that that when a person is they're employed as SIA, that they can only work the door. They can't be dual rolling, so they can't be on the door / behind the counter. They have to be solely as security. So if you put your 3 through training, would the understanding be that the nights that they come on as security, they're only being security?
100%, yes.
Great. That's great, thank you. I think Tobias has covered the red route question. I think that's all my questions, thank you.
Thank you. Emma, do you have any questions?
No, nothing, thank you.
All right, I think that is, let me just check my list. I think that covers everyone. If there's any, oh, Claire?
Apologies, I just thought of one more question. I forgot to ask, do you open during the daytime? Because obviously you've amended the opening hours to just be 2300 onwards. Do you open during the daytime as well?
Yes, we are open during the daytime, but obviously licensing would suggest that if you want to go beyond 23 hours, you need a license.
Perfect. I just wanted to double check. And what are your sort of typical opening times during the day?
We are open to serve customers from 12 o'clock midday until 23 hours.
Okay, and you don't close at all. You just, so when you open for your lunchtime trade, you just stay open.
Correct. Yes. Correct.
Great, thank you ever so much.
No worries. Just to do a quick double check, has anybody got any other questions from anything that's been raised? No, brilliant. In that case, we shall now move on to summaries. So, can I remind all parties that at this point you should not introduce any new information or evidence that has not already been raised as part of your representation. This is just to summarise the position that you have put forward in your representation. And I will be starting with the licensing officer, Emily.
Thank you, Chair. This is an application for a new premises licence for late night refreshment only for Station Grill, 62 Queens Road. Sorry, that's the completely wrong address. 5 to 6 Western Road. You've heard from all the parties present, and licensing guidance states that in determining the application with a view to promoting the licensing objectives in the overall interests of the local community, the licensing authority must give appropriate weight to the steps that are appropriate to promote the licensing objectives, the representations including supporting information presented by all the parties, the guidance and its own statement of licensing policy. It is important to note that each application will be given individual consideration on its own merits. After considering all the relevant issues, the licensing authority may grant the application subject to certain conditions, and any conditions added to the licence to meet the licensing objectives should be clear, precise and enforceable. Alternatively, the licensing authority may refuse the application on the grounds that this is appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives and against our statement of licensing policy. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And just to clarify, it's Faisal's Restaurant, not Station Grill.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, Faisal's Restaurant, 5 to 6 Western Road.
No worries. Thank you. Claire, can I have your closing summary?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'll keep it brief, just an outline. So we've heard from the applicant today and had some time to explore deeper into their business model, and they've been able to answer questions around their opening hours, their SOA. They have been able to explore the conditions that they are willing to accept. From a police perspective, obviously, our largest concern is crime disorder, and we do see crime types in this area as mentioned, which could affect the type of business that's being considered today. So the largest type being theft and violence against the person, and just that we do see that peak between midnight and 1. So if the premises was to close to walk-ins, dine-ins at midnight, you would obviously alleviate that concern. I think that I'm pleased that the applicant has been able to accept our conditions and that I have a good understanding about how the SIA policy works, and that there will be no dual rolling. Obviously, from crime disorders perspective, we don't want to see new premises added into this location, so we would stand by our refusal, but obviously that's for you as a panel to decide based on what you've heard today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Emma, can I have your summary, please?
I don't have much else to say, really. Obviously, the panel's heard from all parties and now must make a decision to see whether they feel that this offers exceptional circumstances to depart from the policy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Ahmed?
Yes, as I already said, we do understand that this is a Shahzad area, but we obviously we're not here to attract customers from the streets. We do not sell alcohol, and also we are very happy to be working in the operational model to support the nighttime economy and work with the police to help reduce the crime and disorder. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I will now move to closing summaries from the legal advisor to the panel, Liz.
You'll be pleased to know I don't have any, thank you.
No worries, I like it when it's nice and quick. In that case, the panel will now retire to make its decision. Please note that we will be accompanied by Liz and Frankie as our legal advisor and clerk to the panel to help to help us, but will not take part in the decision-making process, which will be between myself and the other 2 members of the panel. The decision will be sent within writing within 5 working days with appeal rights attached. Thank you all for attending and enjoy the rest of your morning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank
Have
you.
a nice
Bye-bye.
day. Bye now.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.